If you're someone who's so tired of setting a New Year's resolution because you're constantly failing at it, well, welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why New Year's resolutions always fail and give you a step-by-step guide on how to create goals that you will actually follow through with. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. I should say because you got me solo again. Coach Amanda will be back in action in a week. So you guys will get both of us. New news. So I am going to be starting a podcast on dating and relationships called Love Desperately. I, as you know, am a licensed family therapist, marriage and family therapist. And I have a branch of my program, which is dating and relationship coaching. It is one of my favorite things to do because I love to help people love themselves to then find love in other people. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. However, as you guys know, I love reality shows. So just like we did with Love is Blind, and we used a couple on there to explain attachment, we're going to do the same thing in Love Desperately. I'm going to use different couples of the reality TV world to help you understand different types of codependency patterns and attachment issues and healthy relationships if that exists on social media. So it's not going to be the whole concept. Obviously, the concept is dating and relationships, but check out or stay tuned because it's not quite ready yet. I need to get some of the branding and stuff done. So very, very exciting. Arizona State, my alma mater, doing really well in football. If we win this Saturday, we will go to the Big 12 championship. So go Devils. We love the Sun Devils. And I went there for both undergrad and graduate school, and very excited about that. And it's December. Where did the time go? I hope that you guys are not like me. I am the worst at buying presents. So my grandmother was so good at this. She would have a whole closet of Christmas presents by July because she would just buy things along the way. Now, my family, I bought my dad a really nice bed after he got out of the hospital just to help him feel comfortable. So then they're like, you don't have to buy us gifts ever again. And I'm like, okay, calm down. The bed was, it was expensive, but it was definitely worth it because obviously I want to make sure he is comfortable. And so I hope you guys are a little bit further ahead of me because I have bought 0 things. Mark and I will actually be at Disneyland on Christmas Day. And then the 26th, we'll go to a California adventure. Yes, I'm an adult, a Disney adult, as they call it. And it just makes me so happy to go there because I grew up in Southern California and that was just a part of my upbringing. And we went to Disneyland as much as we could. Obviously, it was more doable back then. And it just brings me so much joy of the smells and the tastes and all the things. So I've also never been there on Christmas time. So I'm pretty excited to see that for our little getaway. Usually we would go somewhere. We at the company, we have a limited coaching schedule, basically the last 2 weeks of the year. We offer our clients fun challenges. For all you clients listening, you'll have access to 3 different challenges that you'll choose. One is a self-care challenge, one is a movement challenge, and the other is a healthy habits challenge. And you'll have a community forum for each of those challenges, as well as different habits and things for you to tick off. And we will also have daily coaching calls where each of us coaches will come on and make sure that we have a group coaching call. Not daily, because obviously there's holidays that we will be off. But just want to let you guys know you will not be high and dry. You will actually get access to more calls than you ever have in the entirety of the program. So stay tuned for that. Also, guys, if you have been waiting to sign up with the Mindset of Matter coaching, we are launching our Mindset Movement. It is a membership style coaching program, and we're going to be offering what we call the mini method. The mini method is going to be a 30-day challenge that will be $48. And for that $48, you get access to a mini mindset method to really help you understand why weight loss has been a struggle. What are the things you're doing that are causing you from living in the body that you love and feel great in, and how to begin to change that. So after the 4 weeks, you'll have a good understanding of what it is psychologically, mentally, physically that we need to be changing, and then create a game plan, because you'll also get a 20 to 30 minute call with me with that $48, where we're going to take everything you learn and process it. Then from there, you have an opportunity to continue your time with us in the mindset movement, which is our group coaching membership. This membership is unlike any membership because you're going to have access to all of our coaches, including myself, the founder of this company, on two coaching calls a week, group coaching calls, 8 calls a month, plus custom nutrition coaching, access to our on-demand coaching training program, all of our resources, and so much more. And so this is a great opportunity. 2025 is going to be amazing. So stay tuned when we begin the rollout for that. It will be an introductory offer. So it will be discounted, and you'll get the access to the first 48 or the first 30 days as well. So very exciting stuff. Speaking of 2025, I wanted to jump on today and talk about why New Year's resolutions often fail. People at this time of year are, making these resolutions. They're really, really ambitious. They think that this is going to be the year that they can confidently do the thing that they've been trying to do over and over again for decades, right? But statistically, it's been shown that people give up on their resolutions, within the first month. This is a common pattern, right, of that kind of perfect fail, all or nothing thinking. And oftentimes people think it's a lack of willpower or discipline. But the problem is that, you guessed it, they're just not creating sustainable habits that they actually can accomplish. Plus, as I've talked about, we're running the Winter Wellness Challenge right now in an effort to replenish and fill up our clients' cups, the members of the challenge cups, so that they can walk through the holidays actually taking care of themselves. So then at the beginning of January, whatever goals they want to set, I don't think it's bad to set goals for yourself. You should set goals every year, every quarter, every week, right? Set goals. Goal setting is wonderful, right? But make it realistic, right? So for the clients going through the Winter Wellness Challenge, they are going to feel replenished and ready to go. They're going to learn flexibility and all of the things. But for a lot of you, we don't do that. Our first problem is the goals that we're setting are not realistic, right? They're very ambitious. The other thing is that they can also be too broad and too overwhelming, right? So people will say, I want to lose weight. Well, what does that look like? How much weight do you want to lose, right? What does it look like specifically on a day-to-day basis to build these small habits in an effort to get to X amount of weight loss? So we have ambitious goals that are a bit extreme for where we're starting. We have goals that are too broad. We have goals that feel too overwhelming because maybe we're, not looking at the small steps. We're just looking at this, end game, right? And today I want to talk about how we can begin to change that. So again, I said, goals are really important. It is so important to think about and imagine and visualize yourself accomplishing something that's important to you. We do an activity in our program called the ideal self. Who is my ideal self? And I have clients visualize and walk through who that person is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And for them to close their eyes and create these goals of, I will be a person who walks in a room with her shoulders back and her head held high, smiling at people because I genuinely am happy and not worrying about what I look like or what other people think of me. I'm happy, so I'm going to spread that happiness to others, right? That's a very specific goal. I can look at someone, arms back, chin up, smiling, boom, hit the goal, right? That's specific. And being able, for a lot of people, because we get very stuck in that victim mindset of fixed mentality that this is just how it is, nothing can change, there's nothing I can do about it. And goals help us to break that thought process. Goals say, okay, I believe in myself. I believe that I can do better for myself in whatever capacity that is. I mean, it could be better bowel movements for all I care, you know? And I believe so much in this, I'm going to set a timeline for myself to obtain this goal. And again, what we want to make sure we're doing is that we're actually creating an environment and a structure so we can obtain the goal. So the first thing I want to talk about is just make this shit clear. Make it clear and make it achievable. For people who have worked with me in the past, there is a framework for goals called SMART goals. For those of you who are personal trainers listening to this, we learn this in our NASA and personal training and really everything that is behavioral change. We learn SMART goals. SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant. And so for SMART goals, we want to make sure that we're using this structure to create, again, a goal that is actually attainable. So normally what people will do is say, again, I want to lose weight. Okay, so if I'm going through this, so I'm just going to start with specific. So specific is a very defined and focused goal. And what I like to say is like, I can measure it, right? So I want to lose weight. Okay, well, let's measure it. So I want to lose, and this is realistic because losing 4 to 6 pounds in a month at a 500 calorie deficit is realistic. People think, I want to lose 10 pounds in the first month. Not realistic. You might lose some water weight initially, and you may get down to like 7 pounds, but then your body will balance back out, and then you're going to be pissed because you gained the weight back, which you didn't. You just drank some water. So specific, very focused, measurable. I want to lose 4 to 6 pounds. I would say 4 to 5 pounds to be more realistic. So we set this on January 1st by January 31st, right? It gives us roughly like 4.5 weeks to do that. Okay. That's a very specific, measurable goal. At the end of January, I would like my waist measurement to go down 0.5 pound. By the end of January, I'd like to increase my deadlift by 5 pounds. By the end of January, I will consistently hit an additional 1,000 steps each day. So you see, very specific. Now, the person though, who again goes hog wild and thinks, well, I'm just going to do all of the things and all the things, like I'm going to take myself from 2,000 steps a day to 10,000. And I'm going to have the confidence in my mind that I can do that. No, you can't. You can't do that. Look at where you're at today and then be specific from there. Not where you want to be. You'll get there eventually. You'll get to 10,000 steps, but it takes you going from 2,000 to 3,000. And like we said, the specific goal is I will increase my steps by 1,000 on average every day and by January 31st. Okay. So specific and measurable. Okay. So I will lose 3 to 4 pounds in 5 weeks. The specific part is I'm going to lose X amount of weight. The measurable part can be I will eat and I will hit a 1,800 calorie deficit on average every day for the next 30 days. We can measure that. We can see it, especially if you're using something like MyFitnessPal. Or I will hit 4 workouts and 6,000 steps, 4 workouts a week, 6,000 steps a day. That's measurable, right? And so thinking about the specific goal, so that's the main thing. And then what are the small measurable steps that we can take to get there? Then again, as I talked about, it has to be achievable. The thing about it, as I've already talked about, is we don't want to start where we're already at because that's not putting any pressure on us. So like if you've been sitting on the couch for the last year, you probably don't want to run a marathon. You probably just maybe want to, get up and get 3,000 steps in a day, right? And then maybe it's 5,000 and then 7, and then maybe it's, a mile run and then a 2-mile run and so on and so forth. So we want to make it achievable because what's going to happen is if you say, okay, I'm going to go 0 to 100, you're going to get frustrated because you are literally setting yourself up for failure. So we want to challenge ourselves, but do it in a way that feels like I have a lot more room to move up. If you feel like it's not enough, good. Then prove it to yourself by doing that thing that's not enough consistently. My favorite thing that people tell me, well, that's not enough. All right, well, show me. Show me that you can do it every day that you commit to doing it. So again, measurable. I'm going to work out 4 days a week in the gym at 4 p.m. It doesn't have to be that crazy. We actually at our company allow it to be more flexible, unless some of our clients literally need that rigidity. Depends on the person because everything we do is custom. So I'm going to work out at 4 p.m. 4 times a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Again, making it achievable so that it makes sense for you. So while it's good to, kind of aim high and have your goals be high, I want to see you be consistent. So if it is the 4 workouts per week, if that's not enough, because a lot of people will tell me like 1 workout a week is not enough. Well, show me you can do it consistently. If you can do it consistently, say you hit 1 workout this week, 1 workout next week, we'll add a workout in, and then show me you can do 2 workouts consistently, and so on and so forth. It's kind of funny when people say that and then they can't even hit that consistently. So I'm like, is it really not enough? Because you can't do it. And for a lot of people, they will get in that all or nothing. Well, if I can't do everything, I won't do it at all. And just say, prove it. Prove it to me that you can get it done. I will gladly add more, right? And then the last one is relevant. Your resolution should matter to you. And this is so important. People's why they want to do things is so important. But a lot of people with New Year's resolutions just want to lose weight. And they want to lose weight because they think they're going to magically feel better about themselves. Sorry, but I'm here to tell you that shit doesn't happen. The way you feel about yourself has nothing to do with what the scale says. It has to do with what you believe is true about you, your self-worth, your ability to be loved, seen, heard, safe, imperfect, human, right? And so the one that I do love, though, is I want to be able to run around with my children and not be out of breath. Okay, could weight loss help that? Yes. Could some strength training, cardiovascular exercise help that? Yes. I want to help. This is one that we just posted. I want to be strong to help my aging parent so that I can help my parent get up. I've done this with my dad. I was strong enough to help push him up and down the bed, get him in and out of the bed. And it made me feel amazing. It makes me want to be stronger and stronger and stronger. So make it relevant. Why do you want to achieve this goal? Why is it important to you? Is there any desperation around staying the same? Meaning, is staying the same worse than going through the discomfort of changing? That is when the goal is a good goal, where you say, okay, I am missing out on the time with my kids to have, family time with them, to go hiking with them. I'm missing out on bike rides because my husband does it, but I don't feel comfortable enough. I desperately need to change because I don't want to miss out on these memories with my children. One of my favorite relevant goals is I want to recreate the intergenerational trauma. People don't say it this way. They say, I want to recreate the relationship with food that I've carried from my own family because I don't want my daughter to grow up this way. Or I don't want my daughter to have the body image issues that I have. I want to create a balanced environment for her. It's my favorite, or son, right? So again, an example of this is I would like to lose, 4 to 5 pounds in 5 weeks. In an effort to do that, I'm going to reduce my calories by 500 calories a day and do that on average for 30 days. Or I'm going to hit, the calorie deficit and weight loss, we know comes from nutrition. We could also do, and I'm going to work out 2 days a week, full body, and hit 5,000 steps a day. And I'm doing this because I want to, by summertime, when my kids are out of school, be able to run around with them, do family, paddleboarding, whatever it is, without feeling winded. That is how you create a beautiful goal, smart goal for yourself. Some of the things we like to do with this too is give yourself little rewards along the way. Like, what will you do when you reach this goal? So say that at the end of January, you're down your 4 pounds, you've been consistent with your workouts, you've been consistent with your walks. I love a good reward, right? As long as it's not any of your like maladapted coping skills, like the coping skills we don't want to continue with, like food and stuff like that. But maybe you buy yourself some new cross trainers, or you buy yourself a paddleboard, right? Rewarding yourself is really important because it really allows you to enjoy the process. And the reward doesn't have to be buying yourself something. It could simply be like, wow, I did that. And like having a moment where you feel pride and happiness. Like I did that. And I did it in a way that didn't feel exhausting to me. I allowed myself to have boundaries around it. And I'm going to reward myself by sitting here and enjoying it. Or, I mean, I personally love like a nice steak dinner. Yes, I said not food, but I'm going to get some steak. I'm going to get some veggies, maybe a potato, and enjoy that, right? Which is something that still will fit in my whatever my plan is. I just, don't have that every day. It could be so many things. So I talked about SMART goals, but what we at the Mindset of Matter really, really focus on, and I've touched on it a few times, are our norms. Our norms are the things that we know we can do consistently no matter what is going on in our lives. This concept of figuring out what I can do rather than what I think I can do or hope I can do is so important when we're setting goals and resolutions. The reason why is, again, we get very ambitious. We're very motivated because everyone else is motivated at the beginning of the year. And then we set these huge goals. And then we're like, oh my gosh, I can't possibly work out 6 days a week. Life is in the way. See, I can't lose weight. I can't do this. And then you get stuck in a fixed mindset. The problem isn't you. You tried, but the program doesn't fit your lifestyle. And being able to find a program or create a routine yourself that fits into your life is going to be so important. And we do that by finding our minimums or our norms. These are small, tiny goals that we can build upon. And the way I always say it is, I want you to think about your worst week. I want you to think about the week where the kids are homesick, your husband or partner is out on business, you have a deadline, and the dog is throwing up something green. I know, I've said it here many times. What do you know you can do? This is so important. We recently had a client who really struggled with this concept. And then she struggled knowing that this was an all or nothing issue on top of that, right? And we see this with people. If we're not, most people on a diet or health, any sort of change when it comes to like diet and exercise, this is the piece that they miss. They think, oh, I have all of this confidence to do all of the things. And then when life gets in the way, because that routine is so much, they can't possibly do the routine. So then they don't do anything at all. And they start over again on Monday. They reset. They get back on the wagon, whatever the fuck word you want to use. So when we can think about my worst week, like, oh, on my worst week, I can get a vegetable at each meal. I can walk 5,000 steps, and I can drink 100 ounces of water. There you go. Little small goals. Now, finding your norms, finding your minimums is super important. And one of the ways that we can challenge ourselves with increasing our norms is by what we call habit stacking. Now, habit stacking comes from the book Atomic Habits. It's a really, really amazing book, excuse me. And habit stacking is something that I love to do with our clients. So let's go back to our SMART goals. We want to lose 4 to 5 pounds in the month. We are going to eat in a 500 calorie deficit. We're going to work out 2 days a week and hit 5,000 steps. So habit stacking is stacking a new habit or an increased habit, as we've talked about, on something we're already doing. So we already drive to work and park in a parking lot. So I already have to get to my office. So I'm going to take the stairs. That's a habit stack. You always walk to your office, or I'm going to park in the parking spot that's the furthest away from the door, right? I still have to park. I still have to walk in the office. I'm going to go to the last parking spot and walk furthest. Or like I work at home, I use the bathroom furthest away from me. I always have to pee, but I'm going to use the bathroom furthest away from me. If I'm trying to increase water, I make coffee every morning. I fill up my water bottle and I drink it while the coffee is brewing. Habit stack. So we are stacking a new habit or a habit we're trying to increase on a habit that already exists. So if you're really struggling with increasing your habits, number one, we want to look at, is that habit too ambitious? Is it too outside of our norm, right? That's why they're called norms. And then what is something I'm already doing that I can stack this on to remind me, oh yeah, every time I brew the coffee, I drink a glass of water, right? Habit stacks are amazing. And so norms, habit stacks, SMART goals, these are all very, very important. We are creating goals for our New Year's resolution or the year in general. But as we always talk about on here, we also want to look at the mindset barriers that might get in our way. And that perfectionistic thinking, right, of I'm going to do all of the things all at once is really crippling when it comes to building habits and goals. The reason why is our brains and bodies can only take so much change at once. And we have a anti-reward center in our brain that if we are too stressed, it will literally like make us not motivated to do things anymore. This is a very real thing. This is why we see people kind of resort back to their comfort zone, because the body is just trying to keep you from this super stressed, uncomfortable place, even if the thing you're doing is good for you. Your body doesn't know the difference. It just knows that it's uncomfortable and stressful. So after too much overload on the body and the brain, really, the brain will be like, whoa, this is too much for me. Let's pull back motivation, pull back the desire to do this. I'm literally not going to put off the hormones in the brain that make this feel good for you. It's crazy how amazing our brains are. And so we don't want to do too much too soon. But in our minds, we think that we can be perfect at it, or we're going to do all of it. Stop lying to yourself. You keep doing that. You keep thinking you're superwoman. I have 0 kids. I work from home. My job is to work out. I'm not doing all of the things all of the time. And I have a lot of expendable time and energy on my hands. So why would that be true for you? And I know this is probably hurtful, but you don't have as much energy, nor discipline, nor motivation that you think you do, because you've got a lot of shit going on in your life. So let's again overcome this by creating those norms and those, stackable goals. The other thing is, again, lack of flexibility or that all or nothing thinking. When we say this is the plan, this is the only plan, and I can't move away from this plan. Now, don't get me wrong, having a clear plan is incredibly important. I had a friend post the other day. She was like, do you just sit in your car sometimes in the gym? I was like, what plan are you following? And said like her boyfriend put a plan together, but I was like, I guarantee she doesn't have a plan, because usually when you have a plan, you feel like, okay, last week I had, my squat and it was 150 pounds. This week I'm going to get it to 155, and it motivates me to get out. But the problem though is that some people get so rigid on their plan. And if they can't do it that exact way, then they don't do it at all. And so we need to be aware that we are allowed to be fluid. We're allowed to have balance. So norms are really cool because they can literally be our non-negotiables when we're just starting. So whatever you start with when you're creating these new goals and habits, the first thing you start with, maybe it's, the water, the vegetable, the 5,000 steps, that can always be your fallback. So say you get to a place mid-year by following the things I'm talking to you about, and now we're at 8,000 steps. We have a protein and a veggie and a healthy fat at each meal, and we are hitting 120 ounces of water. But let's use me for an example. My father goes into the hospital. I'm in and out of a hospital with him for, 2 weeks. For that 2 weeks, maybe I just go back down to my 5,000 steps and my, 8 glasses of water or whatever it was and my vegetable. Having some fluidity and flexibility is incredibly important. Knowing that we always can choose ourselves in a way, and that is always going to be enough. It's when we completely turn off that becomes the issue, and we do it all of the time. So we want to have a plan. We want to be able to implement that plan, but we also should have a couple of back plans, or as I mentioned, just come back to those original norms that you set when you started. So that's going to help that all or nothing thinking. We call it all or something thinking. And for a lot of my clients, it's a game changer because they'll have that week where I think of my one client, she works in the news industry. And when she flies in, she's waking up at 1 a.m. to go to the news morning show. She's got to set up things and do all this stuff. I mean, it wrecks her week, but she has a plan for it and she is okay with it. And she's the one telling me, hey, I did this instead of this and I feel good about it. I'm like, great, awesome. The next one of the biggest barriers is analysis paralysis. And this oftentimes, again, goes into this idea of like doing too much, where I have this, crazy to-do list of a life, and I've put this new to-do list, aka these goals, into this already crazy life. And then at a certain point, you're just looking at everything you're supposed to do, and you're like, I'm done. I can't do this, right? It is a form of self-sabotage because, again, you are thinking you are capable and you're not. And so we really, again, want to create an environment that helps us manage our time better. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago about the Eisenhower matrix and figuring out what is urgent and important and doing it first, scheduling what is important but not urgent, delegating what isn't urgent, not important, and getting rid of things that are not important and not urgent. By creating creating boundaries with our time, we can begin to feel a little bit less stressed when we're looking at our to-do list. And your exercise or your meal prep, that could be in your important but not urgent, and schedule it into your day. We had Cynthia Sassy on, and I interviewed her, and she uses an AI tool called Motion that helps her with her day. And she says it's a game changer. And this is one of the busiest women I know who runs, multiple companies and is always doing things. And so time management, finding, color blocking your calendar, which is something that I do. I plan everything into my calendar that I need to do other than my workouts, just because I do them so early. But everything else is planned in my calendar, and up to lunch and breaks and everything. And so making sure that we are creating a structure that reduces that analysis paralysis. One thing that one of my clients did is she wrote everything she had to do, and she put each thing on a yellow sticky paper, Post-it. And then she'd just look at everything she had to do, and she'd grab one thing, do it, put it over on the other side. She goes, it's great. I just choose what I want to do in that moment, and I do it. She's a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids under 5, I want to say. And this worked out for her brilliantly. I loved it so much. The habit stack on top of that she did was during her workouts were in her basement that had all the laundry in it. So she didn't want to go in the basement because it freaked her out. So we decided during her rests that she would fold the clothes in the basement, which ultimately cleaned up the basement, which made it a better place for her. So that is for my analysis paralysis. And last but not least, just the fear of failure, right? There is no failure. There is familiar. And then there's things that we just simply need to work on. You are learning something new. You are not a genius, nor do when geniuses are creating habits, they probably still struggle themselves. You are going to learn the blind spots. You're going to learn the strengths that you have in this new thing and never looking at it as a failure. You may even go back to old behaviors, which I call familiar. You just are comfortable in those old behaviors and recognizing I am uncomfortable because I'm learning something new. Maybe in your life, achievement has been a sense of identity to you. So I recognize my inner critic is telling me if you don't get this right, you're a failure. People are going to see you. They're going to see that you started a weight loss plan and you didn't lose weight and you did that again this year. Oh my gosh, I've heard this so many times from clients. And you say, nope, that's my ego. That's my inner critic I talked about in the trauma episode. And I'm just going to push forward. I'm going to learn from my mistakes, my blind spots. And you've just got to decide, guys, that you can never fail. You can literally never fail. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, my business could go out of business. Doesn't mean I failed, right? That means that I have to get back to the drawing board, figure out what happened, create a new business and do it in a different way, right? And that we do that all the time. I mean, there's programs that don't hit and we say, okay, what did we do here? So we talked about kind of how to create the goals. We've talked about, little methods to use. We've also talked about some of the barriers. The last thing is staying accountable. Accountability is so freaking helpful here. Accountability is obviously creating support around your goals when there's actual proof in organizational psychology. There's a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and he talks about when we make things public, when we share it with others, we are more likely to do it. That's why you see people, I think about this gal, it's called the Lose It log, and she's trying to lose 200 pounds. She's lost 60 pounds. And every day she's on there talking about her new thing that day and holding herself accountable to her audience. And her audience, there are also people trying to lose weight or like me, just cheering her along because I really enjoy that she's doing this for herself. She's very vulnerable. Of course, people are mean and she addresses that. And, accountability is kind of like the checks and balances of your progress. And being able to say to someone like, I'm really struggling right now because I'm having trouble, getting that third workout in. And that person says, well, it sounds like you got 2 workouts. It's funny. I had a conversation with my friend Crystal because I was just going through it and I just needed someone to like talk to me about, some new ideas with business. And the first thing she told me, she goes, let's talk about what's going right for you. I'm like, of course, coach, right? And she held me accountable to like, look at, there's all these things going right for you. Let's figure out our blind spot. And I have all these great ideas now, right? And that's what accountability can do. If I wouldn't have asked for help, which is something, as I talk about all the time, I struggle with, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And it was almost like she was able to be my brain in that moment when I'm tired and burnt out and maybe not motivated, having that accountability partner to be like, hey, let's, cheer up, buttercup, and move on. So you can do things like have an accountability partner. There's a difference between a workout partner and accountability partner. I like the accountability partner better than a workout partner because a workout partner, you're relying on someone else to like wake up at the same time and meet you at the gym and do all the things. Where an accountability partner, we're just checking in. Maybe we're sending them a selfie. We do this in our program all the time. Now, obviously, we are fully involved in our clients' lives. So we are able to see when they do their workout, how long their workout is, how they lifted, what were the reps and sets, what were their PRs. We're able to see their food, their fiber, their sugar, all of the things. We're able to see their steps, their sleep, if they've done their reflections, how they've done with their reflections, and so on and so forth. we are accountability central here at the Mindset of Matter. So for us, it's joining a community, right? It's not just accountability with your coach, it's accountability with the community. Oftentimes we have clients in our community forum say, hey, I'm trying to hold myself accountable. I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. And they will tell the community, and then the community will check in with them. And another way, like I said, just making it public, like we talked about on social media. Now, that can be really hard for people. It's very vulnerable to expose yourself to people who maybe aren't your besties or a group of trusting individuals like us. But it can be, and again, research shows when we make it public, we are more likely to follow through. It influences us to keep going. And sadly, because we don't want to let other people down. The other thing we want to do is use things like, My Fitness Pal, even just like a habit tracker. You can do, you can make it for yourself, like a little journal that you check off. There's a lot of like calendars that you can print that you can write in your goals for the week, or some of them you can even like have them on social media where you put a little emoji each day that shows the goals that you were able to achieve. Journals, if you're a nerd like my husband, you can do spreadsheets. Or like our app, we actually have a place where we can put in the habit that our client wants to do, and then they can tick it off. And then we get a review of how many times they hit that habit over the 4 to 5 week period, whatever that looks like, which is really, really nice, or 2 weeks, whatever we've decided on. And so, being able to track and hold yourself accountable, because tracking is really helpful because it gives you a lot of data like, oh, wow, I worked out 2 extra days more than I did last month. Look, I'm progressing. Because so many people put their progressing in totally dumb ways, like the scale, of course. Now, yes, that is our ultimate goal. But if I'm working out 2 extra more days a week, eventually the scale is going to move, right? And so we definitely want to make sure that we're looking at progress in a variety of ways, which we talk about here a lot. And then, again, I'm going to leave it with this one because I think this one is so important. Again, being flexible, right? Being able to look at the season, look at what's going on, and have that flexibility, because life is going to get lifey, and you are okay with the boombox. Remember the boombox. Every goal that you set this year, I want you to think of not just the goal, but like the measurable piece, the 4 workouts, the veggie at each meal, the water, the walking. Those are each knob of your boombox, and we're never turning down the boombox all the way off. We're never turning it on full blast. If you're sick and you can't exercise, turn that knob down some, right? And then we turn up nutrition. We turn up water. We turn up rest. And being flexible with it is really the name of the game, because flexibility creates consistency, and consistency creates results. And I guarantee you guys, if you create specific measurable goals, you create specific plan around those goals and a why that is strong enough, you understand how to create, utilize the methods I've talked about here, the habit stacking, the norms. We have our norms tracker that I can link in the show notes that literally helps you create your norms for, I believe it's 4 months. So I will 1000% add that here. Being able to understand your barriers. And this is perfect. You still have a month to do this. So look back at the last January, February, like what were my barriers? Was I an all or nothing thinker, a perfect fail thinker? Was I someone who lacked boundaries? That's not even one we talked about. Did I lack boundaries? And I started saying yes to too much, but started saying no more to myself, which ultimately did not allow for me to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve, right? Creating the accountability and the progress, and following up on that. I think sometimes that goes to the wayside, and you're like, well, see, this isn't working. But if you actually sat there and took, data, like, wow, like I'm getting so much better. Look how consistent I am at this. And I'm more consistent than I was last week, even. That's huge. That keeps you going. And then, of course, making sure that we're going to be flexible with our boombox approach to all goals and habits. And of course, you can hire someone like us. Hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, you've created a sense of trust in myself and Coach Amanda and our team. And we have a variety of ways to work with us. We have our mini method, which is our 30-day challenge that challenges you to figure out why we haven't been able to keep ourselves a priority, why we keep gaining the weight back and, figuring out how to lose it again and what's really standing in our way of that. Then we have the mindset movement, which is our group coaching membership that allows you to get custom nutrition coaching, access to the on-demand training, access to the mindset method curriculum in a longer form, and 2 community group calls every week. Every week. And I will be on them. Amanda will be on them, and all of our other amazing coaches. And it is going to be an introductory offer for 2025. And it's all about accountability. It's all about understanding your barriers. It's all about creating sustainable health habits with experts helping you along the way. And then our one-to-one coaching is our most hands-on, the most accountability, the most customizable program. And that program is honestly the work that comes out of that. The 4-month commitment that you get in that program can literally change, 4 decades of shit in your life in 4 months. I've seen it happen. So that's our one-to-one program that includes a weekly Zoom call with your coach, access to the full mindset method curriculum, custom exercise, because that's not involved in any of our other programs, custom nutrition coaching, and so many other things. Oh, and direct access to your coach via our messenger. Also the only program that allows you to do that. So if you are looking to not only set goals, but achieve them, check out the show notes below for our Clarity Call link and our links to the mini method and the mindset movement to get you signed up, because we will be running an introductory offer. We're not launching the new program until the beginning of the year, but this gives you a seat at this introductory rate. And if you do sign up before the end of the year, I'll also give you access. Give you access to our Winter Wellness Challenge, because no matter where you start in the challenge, it's still, there's still habits and exercises and stuff. So you can have access to that and our end of the year challenges as well. So you will be into our program without even having started, right? And you'll get to do it all at no cost. For however long you sign up. You could be with us for the whole month at no cost in the Winter Wellness Challenge, which would be super fun. So that is it. That's how we set sustainable goals and how we do not fail at our New Year's resolution. If you like this information, please share this with someone who you think would benefit from this. Please give us a follow if you have not already, or subscribe to our podcast that allows you to get notifications when new podcasts have dropped. You can follow us on Instagram at Mindset or Matter Coaching, fitbyamanda.az, and our new YouTube page, The Mindset Mirror Connection. We have moved from the Mindset of Matter to the Mindset Mirror Connection, but all of our pages are linked. So we have the business page, Coach Amanda's pre and postnatal page, and the page for the podcast. So we're all over that bitch. Other than that, if you love this information, please give us a 5-star rating or review. I know I ask it all the time. It really is important, guys. Think about your own business. What if people didn't review? Think about Amazon reviews. You're not going to buy something if it doesn't have good reviews. We do have great reviews, but we'd like more of them. So other than that, I want you to remember this as you are setting your 2025 goals, because it is probably the one thing you should be thinking about when you're setting goals for yourself, because it's so true. And that is, don't forget, what you say in the mind, you see in the mirror. Bye-bye.